Hey guys, it's Kesara, and today we're going to be talking about my top 5 favorite self-help novels. So I know I don't generally talk about nonfiction or self-help on this channel, but it's January and I feel like this is the time of year that people are actually looking for those types of books to read. And while I've read many of them that honestly were a waste of my time and money, there are some that I would recommend and really enjoyed reading, and I feel like actually gives us really great insight into different aspects of our lives and can really change how you view things in different ways. And one of these books I actually read quite recently that inspired me to make this video. It definitely made me look at things in a different light, and I really enjoyed it. So because of that, I thought this video could be helpful for other people. And now I actually kind of want to read more, so it made me think back to some of my favorites that I've read in the past that have really changed my perspective on things. So hopefully you guys find this video helpful. So the first book I have is quite specific, but has been super helpful for me over the past couple of years, and that's Why We Sleep by Matt Walker. So this book definitely changed how I thought about sleeping and sleep cycles and things like that. It is incredibly scientific, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm so drawn to this, because it gives so much information about sleep in general, but also gives you tips and tricks and things like that that can help improve your sleep quality, which was super helpful for me, especially over the last couple of years, because I kept switching between day shift and night shift and different times starting at night shifts. I used a lot of the information that I got from this book in order to help me just get better sleep at night and not be tired all of the time. But I just think this information in general is super useful, and sleep I feel like is one of those highly underrated things that a lot of people don't get enough sleep at night and don't understand why they're tired the next day because you're not sleeping properly. This was an eye-opener for me and helped me so much. I would definitely recommend it. I actually listened to the audio of this book twice before I bought the physical copy of it because I knew that it was a book that I would reference over and over again. It's been super helpful for me and would definitely recommend it to anyone. Even if you don't think you have any trouble with sleep, it's still incredibly interesting. All of the information and like science behind sleep and how it works was incredibly interesting. So I would definitely recommend this pretty much for anyone. So the next book I'd like to talk about is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. So this obviously is a very popular book. Most people know about this book. There's also a TV show Marie Kondo does where she goes in KonMari's people's houses, but I definitely think it deserves a spot here because it definitely changed my outlook on the value of things and what value they actually bring into your life versus just having things for the sake of having things. Not only did it change on the types of things that I bought, but it changed the types of things that I kept as well. And it's a different kind of self-help novel that I think really works kind of for the everyday person. I feel like growing up, I just felt like when you had something, like you spent money on that, it's yours, you should keep it, it has value in your life. But that is not necessarily true as you grow older. Like some of the things, you have plenty of things, especially when you start getting your own money and you start buying things that maybe you don't need. It's okay to throw things away. Like that's something like I never really thought of before, but this definitely helped me change my outlook on that. And while I wouldn't really consider myself a minimalist, I mean, you've seen my bookshelves, but there are certain other aspects of my life that this definitely changes significantly. Like for example, my closet is probably more of a minimalist closet than most people, and it's because of this book. And I learned from this, it doesn't matter how much stuff you have, it really matters how much you value the stuff that you do have. And it definitely changes how happy you are with the stuff that you actually do have. And I think that is something that everyone should learn. And I also like that how it's a kind of a different self-help novel. Most self-help novels are kind of more about changing yourself and like your habits and things like that. This one is more about changing your environment and how by changing your environment, you can change your own outlook and it can help you mentally and internally in ways that you wouldn't really expect. And I think this was very useful in that aspect. So the next book that I'd like to talk about is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This book is more on the financial side of things. The reason why I like this one as opposed to some of the other ones that I've read that are more like related to finances, because this one I feel like is very tangible. Like the stories that the author talks about in this book are things that you can see happening to yourself, because he talks about kind of his childhood, and he had a friend whose dad was rich and kind of the things that he learned from that friend's dad. So it's done in a way that's easy to understand and can kind of like step your toes into like financial self-help sort of novels, because there are a ton of them out there. But this one I feel like is just an easy one that gets you into those sort of things. And even though I had read other finance related books before this one still kind of stays with me. I didn't love it at first. I was actually kind of annoyed by it, but the more that I thought about it, the more that I still liked it. I would definitely recommend this one to anyone who hasn't read any financial self-help before and wants to think about investing and things like that. This is definitely one that's easy to get into and understand concepts about basically how rich people think about money. Probably the way I would explain this. There are definitely ideas in here that I feel like most people don't think about money in the way that this book talks about it. So I think it's a really great starter for anyone who hasn't delved super into financial self-help before. This is a really great place to start. So the next one I want to talk about is actually two books that kind of talk about the same concept. So that is The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg and Atomic Habits by James Clear. So this is actually the book that I read recently that made me want to make this video, because I had read this book the end of 2019, early 2020, and I really enjoyed understanding habits and things like that. So this is kind of like the theory behind habits and how they work. And then this one just kind of expounds on that and also gives you actionable ways of changing your own habits. And I think both of these are a must for anyone who wants to improve themselves or improve their lives. Between understanding how habits work and having kind of a roadmap on to how you change habits are really how you change things for yourself in the long term rather than just in the short term and then going back to how it was before. So both of these I think are a must for pretty much anyone who wants to understand maybe how their lives aren't where they want it to be and how to change that and how to go in the direction and realize the dreams that they want to realize. So both of these are fantastic. I think they gave great insight into habits, how they work and things like that. And I would definitely read these together. This one probably first, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, which gives you more of that theory behind it. And then this one more as like kind of an action plan. I read this one very, very recently and I honestly picked it up on a complete whim. My library recommended it to me and I was like, you know what? I haven't read a self-help novel in a very long time. Let me pick it up. And it kind of opened my eyes to things that over the last 2 years have been changing in the wrong ways. Obviously there were outside influences. It definitely gives you a roadmap kind of on how to restart and change things in the right direction. So both of these are super in-depth and I would highly recommend it to pretty much everyone. The last book that I want to talk about on this list, my favorite and probably one of the first self-help novels that I actually remember picking up, and that's The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. So the reason why I like this one so much is it kind of talks about changing your life and how small steps in the right direction can have big consequences in the end. So it's similar a little bit to Atomic Habits in that respect, but this one, I think it's not specifically about habits, it's about pretty much everything. This one kind of talks a little bit more on the financial side than some of the other ones. It's very numbers based, which for me, that worked really well. I'm a very numbers oriented person, so that works really well for me. So that's part of the reason why I like this one so much. But I think this is just a really easy book to read and get into, and it'll still change the way you think about decisions that you make, even just little decisions that you make every day have, well, a compound effect on your life, if that makes sense. So this is probably a book that I need to reread because it's been a while since I've read it, but it definitely changed the way I thought about a lot of things, and I would definitely recommend this to anyone who hasn't read it yet. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I post videos on Tuesdays and Saturdays, so consider subscribing. And if you want to be notified as soon as I upload, you can click that little bell icon. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. All social media links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.